think of an organization that deals with crowdsourcing and when they came into being, and then on the vertical axis, it's just how big are they. And I use Metcalfe's law, which you don't need to know, but basically it's what's the impact to the world. Crowdsourcing can be divided right now into three major categories. It's creating things, organizing things, and predicting things. And that's how I divided this group. So in the creation, the National Board of Health, NCBI thing, I've got the thing wrong, it's the Human Genome Project. In 1981, they took what we knew about the human genome and they gave it away on the internet. And that really was the first thing I could find that it fits with a modern interpretation of crowdsourcing. Linux is 92, and Linux sort of spawned this thing called the LAMP stack, which is MySQL, PHP, and Apache. As I said before, that's over half the web runs that technology. The rest of the chunk would be Microsoft and Oracle. In 2000, IBM got rid of its Domino division, and which was a good thing because I was running Domino at the time and wasn't very happy. And they threw all into Linux, which was the first major investment in a shareware software by a big company. So what they said, which was pretty amazing, was that we're going to throw away our own product and we're going to invest in this thing that's developed by the crowd, and we're going to make money servicing it, which is a pretty unique idea. So what they saw immediately happen was their investment in programming time plummeted, and the amount of time they spend talking to customers went way up. And they own the customer relationship a lot better, and that's another theme that I had throughout the presentation. Innocentive is a pretty cool little company. It's out of Massachusetts, I think it's Cambridge, and what they do is farm out scientists. They find scientists that are retired or looking for something to do, and companies will post through them very complicated tasks, like how do I get this red wine out of my shirt? Procter & Gamble uses them. I was safe tonight. But the idea is they become your product development department in the very, very high-end scientific ventures. And someone sitting in their garage, is helping the big company develop, and they sort of bid on the task based on their experience, and then are awarded contracts and work as a sort of loose mesh network of experts. Procter & Gamble has a target to develop 35% of its new products by 2010 outside the company, which if you said that 10 years ago, you would have been hung at Procter & Gamble because they did everything inside. But they have discovered the power of that. And the way they look at it is instead of 10,000 scientists they have on staff, they have 9 million people working on their behalf around the world on different problems. Liffen is a Chinese company that makes motorcycles, and they do so in a crowdsourced manner. They don't have any real formal manufacturing facility. Everything is very loosely contracted out, and networks of part suppliers work together, and they made 9 million motorcycles last year and are rapidly taking over the Japanese motorcycle market. So I threw that one in there because it's something real. I think we can sort of see that better. Yes?
Is there ever any sort of compensation within the network?
Yes, good question. A lot of people think that pure crowdsourcing is for free. And certainly in the Linux example it is. But in Procter & Gamble, some people, the contracts are worth $75,000 for some of their contracts to solve problems. So, and I also believe that it should be for pay, because that's the only real way to make sure that performance is up to par. Okay, so that's the create cycle. This is the prediction cycle. And it's not as well formed because I think it's a little further out there, but I have the NFL there. And the reason why the NFL is there is that the Mirage betting line in Las Vegas accurately predicts the outcome of NFL games 75% of the time.
Got it.
So if you wanted to predict something in your business, why not have people bet on it? I mean, it sounds sacrosanct, but the proof is in the pudding. If you could be 75% accurate predicting the success of a product, and Merck does this, by the way, why wouldn't you? And, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? The stat there is that when you're allowed to call an expert on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, they're 65% right. When you let the crowd decide, the viewers and studio audience, they're 91% accurate. American Idol it's sort of just voting, but the reason why American Idol was set up was to help find the next big superstar. It's not just a TV show. It's designed to try to identify hot properties, people that the crowd would respond to. HP, which I have a slide on, uses a decision market or a betting system to predict sales. And they're much more accurate at doing that than they were the old way. Get all the salespeople together and say, how much are you going to sell next quarter? Oh, we're going to sell a lot. So that's another good example, and I have a slide on that. Yahoo Buzz, I can't get a lot of statistics on that. It's sort of secretive. It's sort of like, what's hot now? Tell us what's hot now, and then people vote on it.
Just one comment too on American Idol. I read somewhere that in the 6 years the show has been on, they've put like 100 hits from all the artists into like top 40, top 50. And that's come through non-traditional means of just getting it from the crowd. So it's been an amazing kind of model for reinvigorating at least that part of the music.
And it takes the guesswork out.
It takes the guesswork.
Because if you have the #1 show on TV, the reason, our evidence would suggest it would be a successful album. Okay. Now, this is organization. Google is the king, of course. And the way Google works is quite a bit different than a regular search engine. The idea is that if you have a blog and you put a link out on your blog to MENG, that's a vote in MENG's favor. And that's the primary way Google organizes its hits. It's quite a bit different than somebody like Yahoo, who has people and computers who troll the web and rate it based on a scale that they have developed. So Google is really just purely depending on links on the web and how your page is structured as well. Wikipedia, we've already talked about. It's the big organizer of knowledge. YouTube is a crowdsourced organizer. No one at YouTube produces content. It's all from the crowd. MySpace, same thing. And two things I really like to spend a little time on, Zopa and Prosper, which are companies that take advantage of the Latin American concept of a tanda. A tanda is a lending practice whereby the town gets together and says, we need a grocery store, and someone is willing to provide that grocery store, and we trust them. So we're going to pool our money together and give it to them. It's sort of probably the way banks started, and now it's sort of a novel concept. Zopa and Prosper do that online, and they do it in slightly different flavors, but the idea is that you can go online, see something you want to invest in, choose your risk level as a slider, and buy into it. You're protected. They have the same collection practices as a normal bank. Don't Buy Me is one of my favorites. GM had the famous Chevy Tahoe commercial. You could make your own commercial online, and they got burned huge because people made commercials that said, this sucks. And, you're wrecking the hearth by buying this thing. So that's an example of crowdsourcing. I really didn't want this to be this yay rah rah crowdsourcing speech. You can get burned crowdsourcing, and Chevy got burned big time by not filtering the results. They simply put it out there, and the commercials are hilarious. I mean, if you drive a small car, especially.